Why women should take their finances into their own hands. The statistics look sad. Women often get so little pension that they can hardly finance their living from it, at least in the metropolitan areas. The main reason for the low pensions among women is still that in most cases they take care of the education of children and often quit their job entirely or partially as soon as the first child is born. And even if women do not back off professionally for the family, women are still paid less than men for the same job. On average, they get 6% less salary. This makes it even more important that women get their finances and their own retirement provisions under control in time. So, these are 4 steps to successful wealth creation for women. Basically, the same framework conditions apply to both men and women when it comes to finance. The following basic steps are particularly useful when building up a passive income in the long term. First step. Keep a budget book. Before you start saving, you should know how much money you are actually spending. It is not only the large and regular items such as rent or insurance that are important. It is particularly interesting how much money you spend in between, for your daily coffee to go or that new pair of shoes. It is therefore worth keeping a budget book for a few months and entering every expenditure there. There are also free budget book apps that additionally categorize expenses. This is how women get their finances under control quickly. Step 2. Pay off your debts before you invest. When you have debts, your number one goal should be to pay it off first. However, you should differentiate between different types of debt. Real estate loans can be used to build wealth. Because with the payment you receive a real equivalent, a house or an apartment, and thus make direct provision for old age. These types of loans can stick around alongside saving. The situation is different with consumer loans that finance short-term requests such as a new television or a vacation trip. Since the interest rates on installment loans are usually higher than those on investments, you should first pay off your debts before you start saving. Step 3. Get yourself an emergency fund. Next, we recommend parking 2 to 3 net salaries in a daily money account that you can access at any time. This sum is considered a minimum. If other people, for example children or parents in need of care, are financially dependent on you, the sum should possibly be higher. This nest egg is intended for emergencies, for example, if the washing machine suddenly breaks or you need a new car. Or if you lose your job and need some time to find a new job. Tip: if you are impatient and want to push both forward at the same time. Try to reduce debt and build a nest egg at the same time. For example, if you have a total of $100 each month to reduce your debt and build your nest egg, you could put $50 into each. Fourth step. Start investing. Once the debts have been reduced and an emergency fund is built, it is time to invest. You can do this even with small amounts, because you can set up an ETF savings plan at many banks for as little as €25. You regularly pay into these funds that bundle the shares of individual companies or replicate a complete share index. If you follow some basic rules, you have a good chance of investing your money with profit over the long term. Women in finance. Which basic rules should you follow? When it comes to finance for women, there are some basic rules that apply. In a nutshell, it's all about fees, risk and patience. Women should adhere to the following 3 rules when building up their wealth. Rule 1. Investments with low fees increase your profits. Your investment comes at a cost. There are fees for account management, administration and other surcharges. These costs reduce your bottom line. They differ depending on the type of investment. For example, equity funds are actively controlled by a fund manager and therefore often quite expensive because they involve higher administrative costs. Annual fees of 2% of the market value are quite common. ETFs that replicate large indices such as the DAX or the MSCI World 1-to-1 are significantly cheaper. There are fewer fees here and the management of the fund is cheaper for you as an investor. Due to the significantly lower costs, investing in ETFs is usually more worthwhile. Rule 2. More returns when building up assets often also means more risk. If an investment promises a very high profit, there is always a higher risk associated with it. Here are 2 examples. The investment in overnight or fixed-term deposits currently only brings a low return, but at the same time they are subject to the state's Deposit Protection Fund. This means that if a bank goes bankrupt, the state will secure up to $100,000 per bank in saver in overnight and fixed-term accounts. In contrast, stocks can generate significantly more returns. But the risk is also higher. When things go bad, stocks can lose a lot in value. Rule 3. Perseverance reduces the risk of loss. When you invest in stocks, you take a higher risk because prices can naturally fluctuate. Ultimately, you will only lose money if you sell your securities for less than you bought them. Perseverance helps here. In many cases, the stock markets have been able to make up for severe price losses in the past. So it is crucial that you stick with it for a long time and not have to rely on selling your stocks or other investments at poor market value because you need the money. Better wait for the next high and sell then. Investing money for women. How can you decide which investment strategy suits you? There are 3 different investment strategies: the security-oriented, the balanced, and the profit-oriented. If you want to find out which strategy suits you, you should at first answer the following questions for yourself. How secure is my income? Civil servants with an open-ended contract and fixed monthly payments are more likely to put their savings in riskier investments than self-employed people who may have to use their savings to cope with a slump in orders. How willing am I to take risks? For example, if you don't sleep well, if your stock portfolio loses value from time to time due to price fluctuations, then you are less willing to take risks. How long is my investment horizon? If you want to build a house in the next few years and need the savings to do so, you should invest your money more conservatively. What mistakes do women make particularly often when it comes to finance? There are some common mistakes many women make when it comes to wealth building and investing. Mistake 1. Women often leave their finances to their partner. As a result, they don't know what their finances are like. In the worst case, they are completely clueless when the partner separates or dies. Mistake 2. Women often rely on investment advisors for money. In consultations, investment advisors like to give the impression that finances and investments are so complicated that women are completely lost without an advisor at their side. Many consultants earn a respectable commission with this strategy, because they earn money from every investment product that they bring to women their clients. Mistake 3. Women believe they have too little knowledge of finances. Often this is a question of attitude, which is not infrequently passed on from generation to generation. If their own mother has not taken care of her finances, many young women believe that they are also unable to do so. This problem can easily be resolved today. Never before have there been so many blogs and information on the subject of investing on the internet, such as YouTube, which are available and free of charge. Many of them are written for absolute beginners and explain step by step how to build your own portfolio and what to look out for when investing. Mistake 4. When it comes to money, women often turn a blind eye to future problems. Many women who work part-time come to terms with their situation. The majority of them are aware that one day they will end up in poverty when they are old or that they will be financially dependent on their partner. Some women prefer not to deal with the topic of pensions and investments at all, for fear of frustration. But just because women ignore the problem doesn't make it any smaller. On the contrary, with every year in which women remain inactive and don't make provisions for old age, it gets even bigger. So, one last recommendation. Many people tend to save what is left at the end of the month. Often this is little to nothing. You should therefore set a monthly savings rate for yourself and transfer this to an extra account as soon as your salary has been received. Preferably by standing order. That way, you won't be easily tempted to spend the money that you should put in your pension fund during the month.